All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you out there in Feud Country. And we're finishing up this. This will be it. This is the last video. We'll be finishing up the rifle sling today. And I did a couple of things since the last video. I wasn't happy with the sewing, and so I went back and ripped up all the stitching out of it, and got my stitching back in order, and the tension wasn't right, and it looked bad, and you may have seen something in the video, so I ripped it all out and redid it. Exactly the same thing that I'd done, that's in the video. I just ripped out the stitching and redid it. So, and then also on that, I've went ahead and done the edges on this. Done the edges on the actual strap too, and got it cut out. It's to length, and so we've got a couple other things that need to happen here. I'm gonna finish knocking out these holes in that where we put the cover on. When we put the backing on, I got to punch this hole out again, and then the top hole we're gonna put the hardware in, and I got to punch the hole out in the strap at the main top for the sling swivel. So we're just moving right along. We got a couple of things to. That hole's already marked, and the other one here is already marked as well for the where the snap goes on the main body of the. Where the snap goes on the main body of the sling pad. And let's see, that's not the one. I use a 3/16 punch for the Chicago screws. That's what I use on the strap itself, is a 3/16, and this one's an 1/8 inch drive punch. And so we've got this hole already marked. Let me get that in the thing so we. Well, it's bound to happen sooner or later, all this pounding and carrying on. So I'm going to tilt it just a little bit more so it'll sit there. Sorry about that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another hole out here on the tip of the strap that holds the this is for the other half of the snap, and this is what holds the sling swivel. And we're going to put that hardware in next. So these are CS Osborne drive punches, and I got these at we were talking about Maker's Leather Supply down in Waco, Texas, and I was talking about being down there a few years ago, and Sharina and I were there, and so I picked them up while I was there. The good thing about while I was traveling and being able to shop with them is I went ahead and just just paid for the shipping and had all that stuff shipped home. That way I didn't have to fight with didn't have to fight trying to get all that on the airplane trying to come home. I'm looking for, there they are, the setters. I use Buckle Guy hardware for the most part. And I get some from Weaver here and there on occasion, and more buckles and such, D-rings and snap closures. But when it comes to line snaps and all that, I use Buckle Guy, and Buckle Guy's they've got some really great stuff. All the hardware's made out of brass, and all their setters and the anvils are all designed for they've got some new setters. I haven't really looked into looking at those, but I think they have some new stuff now that matches up with some other manufacturers, but these are for their stuff. And I talked to Bo just a little while ago, and he wants to go with black, and these are solid brass, and these are from Buckle Guy, and if you look at the back of them, let me get it in the light so you can see, but on the back, you can see these are made out of solid brass, and that PVD is a covering. If I was going to compare it to anything, and being a hillbilly, it'd be kind of like undercoating for a vehicle. So that's what I'd compare it to, and but it's a whole lot nicer looking than undercoating, and or Line-X or any of that kind of bed liner spray or whatever. But the back side, what I do is I put the head, the head of the snap, I put it right here. That way it's visible for everybody to see it. And so when it goes in like that, and then it snaps in the back, and so all the guts of the snap and everything's all hidden behind it, and I just think, to me, that makes a whole lot prettier, as opposed to putting the top of the snap way out here on the end, and then you fold it behind, and then it's hidden, and you don't see it, and you see some kind of backing. Here's the one that's for the backing for the bottom piece, for the male side. And it's got a flat plate, you know, and it just almost, I wouldn't call it unsightly. I guess it's really based on whatever, you know, your personal preference is, but I just kind of like the top and the more dressy side to be up here where everybody can see it. Now, we do have one issue with this, where we've these snaps are kind of just for one thickness of leather, and we have two thicknesses of leather on here. And so what we have to do is we have to take one of these other drive punches, and it's the 1/4 inch one, and I don't knock it all the way through. I just want to get through this first layer of leather on the back side. And I want to take my X-Acto knife, or my carpenter's knife, and I want to pull that out of there. And that way it leaves the main regular side, the hole on the front side, but on the back side, it leaves a recess area for, if you can see how this has like a beveled smaller bottom to it, and that's where it connects with the cap. So this cap's got a male end to it, and when they go together, they'll go together, just stacked together like that, and that male end gets spread out inside of the snap. And this is a standard snap like you'd have on a denim jacket, or a pair of jeans, or about anything. I mean, this is just a regular snap, and this is how they all work. And so that spreads out on the inside, and that's what keeps them together, and it sandwiches that piece of leather. And so we have to make that little cutout right here, so that fits just perfect like that right there. And so with the setting anvil, the cap itself just rides right in that. You just put the male end through the hole, and you take the drive punch part of it and set it. And that's it. That's all there is to it. And what happens is that, if you can see that, now that male piece has spread out on the inside of that, and unless you take a drill and drill it out, that's not coming apart. And so these are great. I love them. They're easy to set, just as simple as that right there. And so that's all there is to that. And similarly, this other end it does the same thing. And so we change anvils because it takes a different piece to hold that. And then we get the male part of the snap that, and this is what goes up into that that female part right there. And so we want to make sure that this part goes on the back side like this, so that it's going to go in. It's going to just fold right over and go into that. So all of this, all my work here has the sling upside down, facing away from me. That's just because that's just the way this piece is done. I have to change this setter because this has a different receiver to it. This is pretty neat. It's got a little spring on it, and it holds that kind of splits apart a little bit, just enough for that to go in it, and then it doesn't come out. And so we got one thickness of leather. We remember we didn't line the back of this, so we just have the one, and it just goes like that right there. And that's it. And so, and that finishes out putting the hardware on the top of it. And really, that's all the hardware. I mean, there'll be a couple of Chicago screws on the rest of the sling, but that's really it. And I've already done the edges. So the pad itself is actually finished, and so that's a finished product right there. And you can see how pretty that is and how nice that looks, how that turned out. And then the back side just nice and clean, you know. And then if he wants to change it off the gun, he doesn't even have to remove the sling swivel off the weapon. And he can just run that through it, snap it in the back. And those are great. I love them. And we use them all the time. They go out of here on these rifle slings just like that all the time. So we really like them here. And so let me clean up some of this stuff here. And we'll get a little bit of room. And we'll spread out the other part of the sling, which is the strap. I'm done with that. I try to keep all my, this is how they come in the anvil, you know, they come together. That's all one big outfit. So try to keep everything still together and until I can figure out some other some better storage system. I've got a little rotating tool thing here on my desk, and I like it. I mean, it helps me, but there's not enough room. I keep Chicago screws in it and keep other rivets and tools and different things, and I would show it to you, but I'm not going to show you my mess. But I have a belt measuring tool that I use when I'm making my belts. But when it comes to these, I just go ahead and use a ruler, and at every 2 inches, I'll make a mark. And this is how I do my slings. And so you can see I've got a standard 18-inch ruler, and I just lay it down. And what I put it, you see how the corners of see how these corners come down to this point, this English point right here. I want to make that open. I want to leave that open. So I want to put my first one back just a little bit from that. And so I really don't even have a measurement for it. I just go back here, and I just want to leave a little bit of room there, and go back with the first one right there. And then down here that's the first one. 16 is the next one. 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 0. And so that's 9 holes, and that should be plenty good enough. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take I'm going to use a 3/16 because this fits those Chicago screws really well. It's the same, just like what I was already using, those other 2 punches. It's out of the same kit. And I want to make sure it's in the center. Here's another little trick that I picked up along the way that helps me. A lot of times when you're driving, this is the strap. I mean, it's only about, I think I cut it 32 inches long, and then I put the English point on both ends of it. And I'll put different holes on this side because this is the side that goes on the pad. But I'm just putting my adjustment holes down here right now. But one of the tricks I learned, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I saw a guy mention, I listened, well, Ben Geisler's the guy that I follow and check out a lot on his Instagram page. And I know this looks terrible. It's a nasty looking. What it is, it's got just where I've grabbed it with my hand and stuff. But this is beeswax, and I'll take my punch and I'll just push it down in the top of it and kind of wax that edge around the bottom. And when that goes in that leather, it lets it come back out. And Ben had mentioned that. He said he in one of his old videos from a couple of years ago, he had said something about waxing your punches. And I don't know how, I just happened to hear that, and I knew I'd been having trouble with when I would drive my punch through the belt leather, that the leather would stick to the punch, and I'd just fight leather and everything trying to get it out. And it was tough trying to get it out of there. And you see how that stuck like that right there? Watch this one. Yeah, see? I mean, and it's not difficult, but it starts to pull. You see that? It starts to pull on that leather. Now look at these right here and how flat those are. Now they've got a little bit of a raise to them, but nothing like what this one out here on that last one I just did. And now I've waxed it again. See there? Just right out of there. Just right out of there. And so every 3 or 4 or 5 hits, I'll just stab it in that beeswax. I figured that I was trying to save some time on the video, and I didn't want to run through a whole bunch of different things that I do with getting stuff ready, and I figured there was another video that's going to come out, maybe doing belts and see, just you take a little hammer and just peck that down and just tap that leather before it goes right back, and now you can't even tell. No raised places, nothing. But I figured there's going to be another video or two or about other things. I figured we'd do some stuff on belt making and knock my camera down again. Sorry. But I figured we'd make some other videos on how to do straps, and belts and straps are all the same. And measuring for belts, that's one by itself. And then, doing stuff like this, every strap's basically the same. I mean, all belts are straps, and all straps could be belts, and so it kind of has the same properties. I mean, you cut them off and burnish edges and all that kind of stuff. So I did all that ahead before we got to the video, so we'd save a little bit of time on the video. And so that's the adjustment part. And the only thing I do, and there's guys out there that do buckles and use buckles and put buckles with their slings and that's fine. That's just not me. That's not what I do. I've done that. I just personally, I like the least amount of metal flying around off the weapon is going to keep from scratching the gun, you know. And I didn't want to have anything like that floating around out there, so I use these Chicago screws. I use these on my belts too to hold the buckles in, and it's just it's got a post to it, the female end, and it goes into the belt, and then the other part of it is the screw for the back. and folks can take them out and put them in, put buckles, different buckles on, and change things around. So, and these are from Weaver. I get these from Weaver Leather, and so these are just they've got a little star thing or a flathead screwdriver. I use a flathead screwdriver, and they just, you know, it just screws together, and it holds everything together. And so when I'm doing this, put it on that side, and they just pop right in there. There's not any metal sticking out on this side. Just a fuzz, barely a millimeter of that 3/8 long post sticking out on this side. I just hand tighten it. I don't even actually get it all the way down tight. Now on my belts, I put a little bit of, I keep some Elmer's glue around on my belts, and I put it on those for the belts, because I've had them come back where those guys have lost those screws out. They've come out, they've worked their way off loose, and they've lost the post and everything. So we've replaced hardware and stuff, and just part of that is just putting a little bit, just a tiny bit of Elmer's glue in there, and keeping those, holding that in, and that way it's not something like thread seas or you know, some kind of Loctite or whatever, you know, and if you wanted to take it off, you can still take it loose and put your championship rodeo buckle on there, or some other kind of buckle, or whatever. So, but I always include 2 of them for this part of it. And now the other part is I'm going to do the same thing that we did on the other end, and I'm going to come back here just behind that where those corners are at. You see those corners right there? I'm going to come back just a fraction, just back behind that, right in the center. That's what happens. I don't have a tripod. I need to get one. And so we have that. We got the first one in, or the first one done, and you know, where we took our punch and knocked that out. And now this, it goes through there just like that. It's just a 1-inch, strap, and it goes through just like that. Remember when I was talking about sewing, and this is where I started? Well, the reason I start here is because that's all going to be covered up by this strap. And so you can see that. I'll take my little awl and I'll mark it right there. And I'll come back here on my mark. All righty. And I'll put another Chicago screw in right here. And you can do this with rivets, or there's different kinds of rivets that I like. I use, matter of fact, I was just putting on some, I'm going to tighten this one up with a screwdriver. But I was just putting on some brass nameplates on a couple of belts earlier, and actually made myself one. And my wife said, she said, "You've made enough of them for other people. You need to make yourself one." And so we do these too. I don't make the nameplate. I order those. I've got a friend down in business owner down in Wilmore, Kentucky, Horse Country down there, and he does these, and we do them. I order them from him when somebody places an order. I don't have that option on the website, but we do those, and or I install them. They're $20 for me to go ahead and order them and have them brought in and then install them on your Feud Country leather belt. but I use what's called, what Buckle Guy calls, and I like to call it, that's just a good name, is tube rivets for these. And there's other kinds of rivets too. There's some different ones, but these are the ones like that spreads out. There's a hole right here on the top. Here's the head. You can see the head of it, and it's just a solid brass head, if it'll focus on it. Anyway, there's a solid brass, that's a solid brass rivet with a solid head, but then on the post side of it, it's a tube, and it only goes down in there so far, but the rest of it's solid, like a nail would be solid. But this tube, it probably goes down, if I can see it, it goes down to about right there. And what happens is that with the setter, just similar to what I was just using a minute ago on these other things, it's got a star anvil, and what happens is that hole goes down over that star, and as you apply pressure to it, whether with the mallet or with the setter, I've got a hand setter out in the garage, but that'll spread out, and it's like a star shape, and it'll open up and grab the back side of the leather, and then you've got this nice pretty rivet on the front side that everybody sees. Well, I also have these caps. The cap's the same, looks like just like the head of it, and it's a whole lot more dressy, especially if somebody might see the other side, or if that star part where it spreads out might be against somebody's skin or clothing or whatever. But these caps have that star inside of that cap, and what happens is that tube, it splits open and it spreads out inside that cap, and then there it's just, and it holds it, and so it ends up kind of looking like that with a head on both sides of it. And you can see the back of mine that I literally just set these before I started the video. And so that cap has that rivet that's spread out inside of it on both sides, both ones of those. And so that's not going anywhere unless you drill it out. I mean, it's literally not going anywhere. And so that's how we install our brass nameplates here. And no need to worry about hammering on that brass, because it's got the anvil, or the setter part of it's got a rubber gasket on the setter part to hold it, and to keep from scratching up the nameplate. Well, you can see, I mean, it didn't scratch my nameplate up, not a bit, and I was knocking the fire out of it a little while ago. So, but I don't know. We just some Feud Country stuff, and hey, I'm so glad that you all have tuned in and have kind of hung around and endured. I think it's 10 videos. I think we did 10 videos to make this gunsling, and I've just enjoyed it. I've had a good time with it, and you know, and we're finished with it. It's done. I mean, I'm ready for him to pick it up, and I'll put some stuff in the comments section. I'll put some links in the comments section. I put Tandy leather in the other day, and just because that was where something I had used. I'm looking here trying to see what I had that I used from Tandy. I can't remember what it was now, but oh my, I know that that edge beveler, when I was cutting the corners off of that side right there. And so we'll just take the old shoe brush, Smith's Leather Balm. Hey, if you're not using Smith's Leather Balm, you're wrong. They're good friends of mine, and we appreciate them up there. They're in Maine, and it's all American made leather balm. It's all natural, and it's got some beeswax in it. It's got some almond oil and something else. I can't remember what the other one is, but we love them, and they take good care of us. We're on their wholesale partner list, and so we keep stuff. We keep that here in-house. So if you need anything like that, I've got it. And if you've got any questions, be sure to hit it in the comments. Like and share the video. Email me, feudcountryleather@gmail.com. It's all spelled out. So just holler at me if you'd like one of these rifle slings. I don't have them on the website because every one of them, they're going to be different. We might do some different kinds of designs on them or whatever, and I have done some different designs. And so you can look at my Instagram page, look at my Facebook page, see the pictures and stuff. We don't have everything on the website, but we do quite a bit. So listen, if you got any questions or anything, just shoot me a message, and we'll try and take care of you best way we can. And just trying to be neighborly, and y'all take care. The Lord loves you. Hope today's Friday. I don't know what day it is where you're at, where you're watching this video at, but today's Friday for us here, and it's Good Friday. And so as of today, Jesus is in the tomb, and we're waiting for Sunday morning, this Easter Sunday, this coming weekend. And listen, Jesus died for you. He loves you, and He wants you to be saved. You trust Him as your Savior. Romans 10:13, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Hey, we love you, and you take care of yourself. Happy Friday. See you now.